Hey, good evening. Good evening. It is Winning Wednesday with Charlotte Stallings. And so I hope you've had a great day. I hope it was great weather in Houston. I got to get out and it was fabulous. So I hope that's what you experienced as well. Thank you for being here. And we're getting it going. It's the last day of the first month of a new year. Can you believe it? It has swooshed by. So if you're like me, it's like, where did it go? And if you're also like me, maybe this month there were a few little hiccups that happened along the way. They don't have to be bad things. Just you know what? Maybe we weren't planning on that. We weren't expecting that. And so today we're talking about how to triumph through the tough things. So, welcome to all of you who are here now and who will pop in later on. We're delighted that you're here. And here's what you can do to support Winning Wednesday, Win Without Perfection or Permission. Absolutely tag some people, share this to your page. Do some commenting inside here. Hey, Vernitia, and let us know you're here and not for me, but for our guest who's here. Then he knows that you're hearing with your head, with your heart, and sharing any comments. So thank you all for popping on tonight. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I got the year started. I was talking about all of those P's, the letter P. And one of those I talked about was pushing. And I think some of what we'll be hearing and talking about tonight will, I think, help advance that idea of pushing when things are tough, and being present and all kinds of things. So I think we'll have some loops back into some of those P's, but I'm going to get into it. Welcome to all of you who are here. Hello, Vernitia. Hello, Dolores, Jennifer, and Dahlia. Delighted that you're here tonight. And I want to go ahead and get into it to honor our time. My guest tonight is pretty sure he's a native Houstonian. I think he went to Eisenhower High School, did his undergrad at the University of Houston, has a master's in education. I think it's in the counseling area. Obtained that from the University of St. Thomas. He's a businessman. He's an entrepreneur. He's an educator. He's a husband to Dr. Adrian Williams, our dentist, and father. He's two sons, a daughter, beautiful family. He's a granddad too. I want to say he's into fitness. I've seen photos of him and know that he's biking and he's in the gym. He's doing his thing, and he is a proud member of Omega Sci-Fi Fraternity Incorporated. And he's here tonight. His name is Courtney Williams, Minister Courtney Williams, Senior. And I am honored that he's agreed to be here tonight to talk with us. So will you all help me welcome him here? Hey, Baxter, I'm glad you're here. Mississippi is represented in the house. And let's bring him in. Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you? It's so good to see you.
Likewise.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, my stream is being a little bit hesitant and slow. So you all just bear with us, bear with me. And also, Courtney, you were saying you're under the weather a little bit, like your voice
just a little.
But you're giving us that little grovelly, that deep bass voice that is so cool. Anyway, so we'll take it. Absolutely. So thank you for being here. And I shared a little about your background. What did I miss? What would you like people to know about you that I forgot or that I missed?
I think you did a great job, actually, for educational and hobbies, those type of things. You on point there. And I've been in education for a while, small business for over a decade for both.
Okay.
And, so I think you were on point there. I did quite a bit of public speaking, and just in different fields. So I think you did a great introduction there.
Okay, I'll take it. Thank you. So let's get into it. I titled tonight this thing about being triumphant through the tough stuff. And you have a powerful testimony. And I just want to contextualize this for people who are listening now, and we'll check it out later. Know you from church. And I got to tell you, the first recollection images I have of you, we were in the big sanctuary at Harvest
Mhm.
Time Church, and you would be there, and your son and daughter were little bitty shorties, and you
Right.
would sit up front, and they sat right next to you, and they sat. They didn't sleep. They didn't chatter. They didn't move around. And it was beautiful to see. My mother would come in town from Minnesota and she would always hunch me and say, "Who is that gentleman?" Like he, and it's not about control. It wasn't like you had them control and they were so scared to move. They were just like, it was respect. Um, it was just a cool, wonderful sight to see. So my first just knowledge of you from afar is dad, father, and just a very disciplined man, very orderly, very structured. That was before I ever, I think, even spoke, before we even said anything. That was what I saw. Just dad, and your children were right there. So I knew you loved being a dad. You loved your children, and that I know holds true today. So
Mm.
let's get into this thing about um, dealing with tough stuff and triumphing over it. And I want you to start from the space of business.
Okay.
You were talking about being in business for over a decade. So any tell us about the business. Tell us, maybe some of the things that you've experienced, things that were tough that you needed to triumph over, and how did that go? So let's start from your business lens, if you wouldn't mind.
Fair enough. From a business standpoint, business is always, I don't use the word challenging, but it's it's its own beast. The good, the bad, and the ugly, for lack of better words or description. Um, it's, in my opinion, what I would say, it has to be purpose driven because it's not for everyone. It's some many will come and approach it or attempt the business, but
Hmm.
if it's not purpose filled or if it's not what's the word? If you're not in it for just a thorough um, understanding of what you're going to give, what you're going to receive, sowing and
Hmm.
reaping, then it could be kind of shaky, if you will. I enjoy business because I enjoy the idea of starting something from zero, from a
Uh-huh.
slate, a clean slate, and just being able to meet a need. So that's a passion of mine to be able to go in and say, okay, well, this area needs a lemonade stand, for lack of better
Hmm.
words,
Hmm.
or it needs this or it needs that, whatever it needs for the area. I feel that's kind of what business does. It's very purpose filled. So for
Hmm.
me, when it comes to business, I have a great passion for it. And so
Hmm.
that allows me to be able to weather the storms that comes with it and enjoy the requirements, what it takes to create something from an idea
Hmm.
to allow it to go and see it as it grows through its various stages.
Hmm. That's
So
good. Those are good. And what I say to everybody on these Wednesday nights, like, grab the nuggets, because you're teaching us, you're imparting, you're pouring into us with everything you're saying. And so one of the big things I heard you say is having a passion for it.
yes, of course.
So if you're thinking about running a business, starting a business, whether it's brick and mortar or it's a virtual kind of thing, you got to have some passion. Is that what I hear you saying, Courtney?
Absolutely. It's required because there are things that you will face that will potentially oppose that or cause you to second guess, second, third, or fourth, or fifth guess yourself, you know, as relates to things. So there are different seasons, different stages, and requirements of what it requires to be successful.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
you have to really care about it. It can't be something, it can't be an afterthought. It can't be I don't know, delayed thought, but it has something you thoroughly thought out and you thoroughly planned for and adjusted for and was able to implement in various stages.
So talk to us. I want you to tell. So the business that I have in mind, and there are probably other businesses that you've launched. But the dental office, the
Mhm.
practice,
Yes.
So tell us a little about that, and then I want you to tell us. So when you encounter those hurdles, even when you're passionate about it, you've planned it out, and you're a planner. You're you are a guy who's exacting, from what I observe and know, And so you plan to the detail, the nth degree. You're very aware of all those things. So two things I want you to address. Tell us about the business, what it is,
Okay.
and also in your role. And so after all that planning and that passion here and here, any examples of road bumps, and how do you deal with those? How do you triumph over things even after you've planned so diligently?
Fair enough. So the first one, it's when it comes to planning and planning diligently, I would say that there are so many things after you've done all that you can do. There's things that I want to say you could miss, but things that you cannot be aware of still, because you can only flow and operate based on what you know. You can
Right.
only go as far as what you're able to perceive and things of that nature. So when it comes to the road bumps that you encounter, the ones that you see, you're able to manage to the best of your ability. The ones you can't see, those are the things that can be
Oh,
very challenging, you know. And so, and the only way to kind of manage and or deal with those things outside of experience is the ability to kind of just stand, you know, stand through it, wait through it,
oh,
pray
oh,
through it.
oh,
Sometimes you go back to the drawing board
yeah.
to say, okay, well, I planned for A, B, and C, but I didn't foresee, you know, M, L, Z, or P, or Q,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and kind of work your way through those particular different things and understanding that it's okay. It was a book that John Maxwell wrote. He said, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn, you know, and it's never negative. It's
Mhm.
never negative, both present and from a future perspective. It's never negative. So my response to that would be to being able to go in and understanding that what you foresaw or what you perceived from the beginning, it still stands.
Mhm. Mhm.
It still stands, and it still goes, and it's still very strong. It's still very influential. It's still strong. It still matters. But
Mhm.
there are things that, as we plan various things in life, it's not always going to flow as seamless as we perceive it to be, and there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. That is so liberating, and I hope everybody who's on here is grabbing that, and everybody who will watch the replay. One thing you said, it was powerful, and Adrian caught it. Yeah, good stuff. He said the idea about standing through it. Calandrian popped that out, and I wanted to put like that grabbed me when you said that.
Very
There's
cool.
things that we can see that we'll need to address. It's those unseen. You weren't planning on this. You know, you what do you do? And so when your first words were you stand through it. There's something else you said I forgot, so I have to go back and listen. But you also said pray through it.
Absolutely, yes.
And there's nothing wrong when we have to stand through it.
Right, and as well as readjust, but standing, praying, and be willing to just adjust and adapt to whatever the seasons are that you're encountering in the moment, from a
Mhm,
business perspective, even from a personal perspective.
mhm,
Those things are very very important.
mhm. And
And
then
knowing
you
that.
even said, I'm sorry, go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. You go ahead.
No, you were saying, no, you go ahead. You go ahead. You were saying maybe even going back to the drawing board, maybe even,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I want us to catch it. Sometimes we think, oh God, did I miss you? Was this, I thought I heard you strong and real about do this, do that, go this direction, go this route, and here are these things that are happening. And I'm standing through it, I'm praying through it. And going back to the drawing board, what does that entail or require?
Well, for me, and what I've found is that I guess putting pride and ambition, or when we come up with a grand idea, we think that it's law. This is where it's going to be. It's going to work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, and if a five doesn't come, or a seven, or an eight, or a nine, or a two doesn't, then
Uh-huh.
it's like, okay, well then that could be just a unsettling, if you will. So I guess the point I would make is that when you receive a vision, you have a passion, and you start a particular thing, be willing to just work through all of those things, and be willing to adjust and adapt, and to understand the seasons, understand the
Oh,
direction in which the wind is blowing, understand what's needed in that moment for whatever area. Like you said, brick and mortar or online or virtual, understanding what the need is and adjust and
mhm,
adapt. And
mhm.
don't equate that to one, your self worth, or
Oh,
one,
just
or did
yeah.
you miss here,
Uh-huh.
and those different type of things. It's those two. One has nothing to do with the other.
Oh, that's good. I always say this: if you miss Wednesday night Bible study or Tuesday night Bible study, it's okay because you're gonna get a word right here. You just gave us a word. You
This is
really,
true.
really did. That's powerful.
One
Yeah.
has nothing to do. Not one really has nothing to do with the other. Simply because it's if you start a particular thing and you have the passion, you believe if we're equating spiritual things, I'm a believer
Yes.
that you heard from God, then it's gonna work out the way it needs to work out.
It's
Just
gonna.
regardless,
Yeah.
it may not look the way you envision it when you get
Mm.
to the other end, but it's gonna work out the way it needs to work out.
That's good. So having a strong mindset, a strong belief. Yep, you're doing the plans. The Bible says faith without works is
It's
dead.
dead.
So we need to do the work. We can't like just okay, send the people, do
Right.
this, do that. We have to get out. We've got to pound the pavement, do the work that is required in order for things to come to fruition. And when things come that are unexpected, it's, stand, that having done all to stand, reevaluate, regroup, do those things is what I hear you saying, and stay
I
the
agree.
course or know that it is going to work out. Yeah.
That's correct. That's
That's
correct.
good. That's good. Okay, so we're talking through your business lens, okay?
Okay.
And I want to pivot a bit and move it to personal.
That's fine.
Some years ago, there was Minister Courtney at church. You're right there serving, and you had a situation with the car,
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
and you're going to say that was interesting. It really was. Will you share with us? Because I think there's so much power in, again, we're talking about how to triumph through the tough.
Right.
So you talked about in business, giving us some great insights. And will you share with folks about the car experience and how you triumph? Just first tell us what happened. And
Okay.
this isn't to be, oh, let's go back and it's negative. This is about overcoming
Fair
and
enough.
encouraging. So, would you mind sharing?
Oh, not at all. The fact that I'm still here is enough positive
Yes.
to that situation. No, it was December 31st, New Year's Eve on year 2012. And the interesting correlation is that my wife and I, we were in the process of planning. We had just finished signing for the dental office. Dental office hadn't come forth yet at that
Mhm.
particular point. And so we just signed this major business loan, just major major monies.
Big money.
We were committed
Yes, you were in.
a
We
lot of
gonna do some teeth behind this, right?
yeah, we were all in, you know,
Uh-huh.
just on all levels. And so December 31st, I was in. I was at home rather, and it was time to change the brakes. General maintenance, I've been doing it for years. My grandfather was an auto mechanic, so I understood certain
Mhm.
foundational things of
Mhm.
auto mechanics, just
Yeah.
on many levels. And this particular one instance, it was my fault. I didn't chalk. To chalk a wheel is to put a brick or something behind tires to keep them from rolling.
Okay, from rolling. Okay.
I knew that. I knew that from years of doing it, years. And I didn't do that at this particular instance. Change brakes. I was looking at it, and on the back tire, changed on the incline. Didn't chalk the wheels, and I was um, trying to loose a bolt
Mhm.
and put extra strength or whatever on it, and cause it to lean off of the jack. I was
Mm.
under it. It fell on me from neck up, and literally that was it. Afterwards, is all that can be remembered from then on. But
So
long
you
story
were
short,
under the car fell on you.
yeah, from chest up,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so at that point, it was a wrap, you know. No post, it was gone, you know. Literally, call was on me, and but the thing that saved me during that particular time was my oldest,
Yeah.
and he did all the right things, literally, and he did all the right things. He didn't panic, he didn't freeze, you know, and he went and he got my neighbor. My neighbor was ex-military. My He came over and he called the cops. The fire department came out, ambulance, all those type of people. My neighbor was going over. I had a home was being painted at the time. The painter came out, helped, and they were afraid from what they tell me about because the car had already fallen on me. Didn't want it to fall again to kind of re-injure, make matters worse. But nonetheless, he did everything perfect, and got my neighbor, the painter. They were able to jack the car for me, get me from under there. Um, at that point, you know, they were already had called the coroners because there was no pulse.
Mm.
It was nothing. The neighbors on the other side was like, "Oh well, you know, he's gone. You know, it's a wrap. You know, he's gone." They continued to perform CPR. Um, when the officers got there, it was like, you know, we've already called the coroners because no one comes back from this.
Mm.
And but they kept going. My neighbor and my son kept his cool, and he did his part. And by the time the paramedics got there, they just kept going. They kept going tirelessly. Anyone knows CPR knows that's a very hard process, you know, physically. But nonetheless, excuse me, they kept going. And when they got there, the paramedics, and it's just a miracle in within itself. And they were able to find a pulse. They got me in. They did the whole shock thing, and they continued, and they were able to find the pulse. Several minutes later, I mean, several minutes to where, because if your brain's without oxygen up to a certain point, then you start to lose intelligence and memory and just things, you know. And but nonetheless, they were able to continue and get me through the thing, got me to the hospital, life flight me where I needed to be, and got me to the hospital. And they found a post somewhere in between the ambulance to the helicopter to the other thing, and the hospital itself. And nonetheless, I made it. And Dr. Red Duke, before he passed, came over, and he was like, "Hey, I wanted to see what a miracle looks like.
Oh.
Never forget that." And he came
Yeah.
and spoke and things of that nature. And they put me into a coma for several days just to protect, to kind of watch to see how my brain activity was going to be. And it worked out. I'm still here speaking with you.
It worked out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
long story short, he saved me. All his actions saved me. Because if he didn't do what he did, because it was just him and I
Yeah.
there at the time, and if he didn't keep his cool and follow the steps that he knew to do,
Yeah.
I just wouldn't be here speaking with you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm smiling, and I remember, the testimony when you were at church and sharing, and a big part, as I recall, your son was praying too.
Yeah, I mean, I raised him that way. That's all I
Yeah.
knew. That's all
Uh-huh.
I knew. The church, Harvest Time Church, Bishop Beatty, and others, and my mother standing strong on the faith that she introduced me to, all came to the church, and they stood guard against
Yeah.
anything that was coming for me that day.
Mm. Mm. Whew. So it gets me like now. I mean, I feel that. And thank you for sharing the details of that, because here's what I go back to when I said I remember my first images of you. It was from the back. You were sitting and they were lined up,
Yeah,
like right there, had their Bibles, they was ready. And so the training, and trusting and believing that what we're pouring into our children, that it's
right.
not going to, be lost or that they won't return to that. So the training you put in, and when you say he did what he was trained to do, he was calm, he prayed, he went and sought help and remained calm. I mean, all of that. I
Right.
agree, nobody but God. So you're a living witness to the power of God, to
Absolutely.
miracles are real, like everything. When you say they had called it, they were like, nothing here. It was like, no, but God. And so you're here for purpose. And so talk to us about, okay, so recovery and kind of that journey of getting better and triumphing, being triumphant over that tough time, because you didn't just come right back immediately, I imagine. Took a little
No.
bit. Hmm.
Yeah, it did take a little bit. It was that recovery process was quite interesting. Um, I didn't break any no bones were broken,
Hmm.
so it was just a this extreme protection over my mind, my spirit, just my physical body.
Hmm.
So the recovery from there, they were concerned about my memory and how it was going to operate compared to what it was from before to after.
Hmm.
And so that's why they put me in a induced coma. But the recovery was just chalking the tires. The next time, the next time it was time to change brakes, I remember people asking, are you going to work on the car again?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I have to,
Uh-huh.
But I had to physically. It's a few weeks, but I was able to just kind of get back because I was already a fit person prior to.
Yes.
So the recovery was was fine when it
Hmm.
comes to from a physical standpoint,
Hmm.
and whatever happened, the car just didn't totally crush me. I
Hmm.
was able to withstand that. So I'll say that, not to say that I'm Mr. Olympia or anything. I'm far from it, but just exercise is
Yeah.
vital to your
Hmm.
purpose when you're talking about
Hmm.
business and all these other things. Any passion, you have to take care of your body. You only get one. So if you don't properly take care of that, then that can be very taxing, or that can set you back a little bit. So if
Right.
you have this big task, this big purpose, and you're unfit, or you don't eat, or say, I'm not the best eater, I'm not the best rester, but I'm moderate to average, maybe slightly above, and those things really can help you sustain
Right.
in this earthly body to be able to
Hmm.
pursue and accomplish any purpose that you have.
That's
But
good.
so with the recovery, I was fine. It took a few weeks. I had to move slow, and I didn't have to relearn anything. My brain was protected. My memory had some challenges at the beginning, and even some that kind of consisted over time. But I just kind of worked my way through it slowly, and I was able to recover and continue to
Hmm.
move. Because when
Hmm.
that happened, um, that month, like I said earlier, we had just signed for the dentist office, and so it was a thing. Like, okay,
Hmm.
well, my wife was, you on your own. Well, the half I was supposed to cover,
Yeah.
was like, that was, you know, what are we gonna do here,
Right.
And so that was the intention from the beginning.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out, and we ended up opening, and
Hmm.
in May, 6 months after,
Wow.
uh, 5 to 6 months after, and it just kind of worked out.
Mhm.
And
Not kind of, not kind of, like it
yeah,
really did.
it
Yeah.
did work out. It worked out.
Mhm.
We were
Mhm.
able to open and move forward with what we had just put our whole lives on the
Mhm.
line for, and
Mhm.
literally, and we worked out, and we started
Mhm.
there in 2013.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And again, I hope as everybody is listening, I'm never here to say, here's the main thing. Here's the main thing. Take from it what you will. I think Yolanda said it well. She's a natural bodybuilder and said, you said it, get fit for purpose. So that's one big important message. Your recovery and being able to triumph over that, not just tough situation. I mean, that could have been way crazy. But your fitness helped you to be able
Good.
to 5, 6 months later, we are opening a whole brand new dentist office, dentist practice here, dentistry, and go forward and do all of those things. So being fit and training those around us, and I'm imagining you had to, just really believe God, flood yourself with, trusting him and believing during that time. All of those things played a part in this, I'm imagining.
Oh no, you're imagining correct.
Mhm.
That's exactly how it worked.
Yeah, that's good.
That
That's
was the
good.
leading. That was the
That's
leading
good.
thing.
Good. And I appreciate you going back. So that was 2012. So that was,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Oh,
it's just 10
12
years
years ago.
after that. We just, yeah, 10,
Yeah.
11 years. Yeah. God is good. So I want you, before we kind of move into this last area, I want you to just talk about, as an educator, through the lens of an educator. You see parents, and you've seen the full spectrum of
I
things.
have.
What is it day to day as an educator, as a parent, now a grandfather as well,
Mhm.
when you think about ways that we can help our children, or as adults or parents, to triumph over kind of tough stuff that goes on in the classroom, on the campuses? What are things that you would share with us?
I've had about maybe 18 to 19 years of educational experience, from being in the classroom to being a counselor. I'm a counselor now. But it's a constant reminder, I would say, and starting from the inside, of reminding yourself of the purpose,
Hmm.
especially the Western Hemisphere, the Americas, if you will, where education, I feel, isn't as prevalent as it could be,
Hmm.
or the value of it, if you will. The educators, the teachers, the counselors, the principals. So saying, hey, I'm doing this for a reason, and understand the value of people, the value of future, the value of self, and being able to say, okay, well, I'm doing this even though I may not receive my flowers, if you will, or I may not receive the accolades type of thing, but it's understanding that it is, once again, purpose driven.
Hmm.
So it requires the fitness we talked about. It requires the awareness of self. It requires the
Hmm.
awareness of purpose. It requires the value of both self and for the future. It requires being selfless,
Hmm.
to where you say, okay, well, this next generation is what's going to keep us moving, and
Hmm.
being able to say, okay, well, I'm going to plant my flag, or put my mark on what's coming,
Hmm.
in whatever way that is, be it in the classroom, be it in the principal, the front office. My area now, the last, 6 years, being in the counseling and understanding just the value of how all those things tie together to
Hmm.
present a product that's valuable for both now and to what's to
Hmm.
come.
I love how it isn't just this moment. You're forward thinking, and as you say, now and what's to come. So I hear you often saying, in just this dialogue, talking about purpose,
Right.
and keeping that front of mind. So how do we triumph? I imagine day to day, there's all kind of drama and
Absolutely.
potential extra that goes on, and you're counseling
Hmm.
situations with kids where you're like, Lord have mercy,
Oh
whatever
yeah.
they're experiencing, and it's not by their own means. And so, how do you, as the person that they're coming to, um, keep your wits and be triumphant in those situations? Again, I hear you, remembering the purpose, and all the flowers, maybe not today, but they will come, and remembering that. So
I think
that's.
it's been authentic,
Mhm.
because at that stage they really are searching for what's real to them, wherever they are, and they can sense it, they can see it, they can feel it, and discern it. And so, being authentic, one, two, understanding that, oh, we haven't arrived. I'm not
Mhm.
any better, quote unquote. My process of what I've been through isn't any more grandiose than yours. You
Mhm.
know, it was my situation. My situation is my situation. Your situation is yours. But nonetheless, if I'm authentic and I'm real and you can sense that, then you can receive from me.
Yeah.
You can
That's
receive from me. So being authentic, being non-judgmental, um, being consistent,
mm,
reliable,
mm,
um, having something to say that's beneficial, even if it's, hey, you know, shake my hand, grab my hand. This is how you do a handshake. This is how
yeah. Yeah.
make this eye contact, or
Mhm.
speak with authority, or go apologize. You know you were wrong. Now, granted, the teacher may have did something they shouldn't have as well, but nonetheless, you do your part because you can only control what you can do.
Right.
You know, being forthcoming with them, but also, but then holding them accountable as well, saying, "Hey,
Mhm.
this is what you did. You could have did this differently.
Mhm.
However, we're gonna be here tomorrow. You know, this person can receive tomorrow. We can forgive today. We can
Yeah.
receive tomorrow, and vice versa, depending on what the situation is, and
That's
letting them know that it's no jury or this isn't the end, but this is a stage.
yeah. This
This
is
is a
so
stage.
good.
This is a
Yeah.
stage that we can walk. That we can walk through. Emphasis on we. That we can walk through, and we're going to get through the other end, and then you'll turn around and go from there. You know, there are
Mm.
different models, different things where you kind of in my fraternity, there are different things that we say
Yes.
for as just being what's the word? I'm trying to paraphrase
Yeah.
things that we can do. That
I know I was gonna say. Tell
right,
us.
right. That we help each other as we do certain things. So
Yes. Yes.
that's provided.
Yeah.
So there's a system of, of giving and reciprocity.
Yes.
So I'm always mirroring that with
Mhm.
my students as they come to me, and they always
Mhm.
gravitate towards me because they're
Yeah.
checking for authenticity, like I said from the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. And how powerful is that? Not just you as it's with the students, us as adults, showing up as our authentic selves at work, in our relationships, at home,
Mhm.
having something to say. I love when you said that, not just, oh, I'm talking and popping off, but something that's meaningful that can help. You just gave us such great wisdom there. And
I've
I
learned
again, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I've learned how to become okay with myself,
Mm,
the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know,
mm,
it's because it's never going to be perfect. You know,
mhm,
well, I was in pursuit of it, but I'm okay with me
mhm,
and the things that I do well, the things I don't do so well,
mhm,
and I try to learn from the times where that's worthy of praise and the time that's worthy of correction,
mhm.
and through it all, when I've become and I've embraced Courtney and all the good or bad, the stuff in the middle, the gray areas
Yeah,
that comes with me, and I'm okay with it.
that's good. Okay. And I don't think it's just okay, like, that's okay. I think a real embracing, that's what I hear coming through from you. You
Absolutely.
really embrace all of Courtney. Like you said, the good, the bad, the middle is in it, and it's all good. And you love you. And I hear
Right.
that, and that's so cool. So I hope you all are taking good notes and lessons, and that's gonna pull us to this place because you said you've learned when it's I'm imagining things are great and when things have been challenging. And I want to just ask you to touch on this more recent that's got to still be soft in your heart.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, with your oldest, the one who prayed and who stood in the gap and who went and gathered those neighbors and was calm, and he was taken from us a
That's
couple of years ago. And how how are you, I want to ask, and how has that made your life different, and how do you find a place of triumph in that kind of really tough and tragic space?
yeah. That's how am I? That's the first one. Um, right now, I'm fine. it's
Yeah.
it's a it's a thing that I don't want to say never ending, but it just stays with you, you know. So if you say, well, to kind of give context, so people can know, my son, the same person that saved me December 31st, 2012, was um, murdered August 18th, 2020, and so that was a very, I don't know, tragic, was and is a very tragic thing that happened for us, with me, both me, his mother, my family, everyone um, that loves him or loved him or was encountering him. You know, so
Mhm.
it's sometimes I sit back and say, well, how can a person that was only here for a couple of decades just affect you so much? And
Yeah.
it's I've learned the true meaning of that, and how it's just I don't know, it affects everything. It's a scripture that talks about how there's a time where everything that can be shaken will be shaken,
Mm.
and so losing a child shakes everything
Yeah.
from A to Z, and so during that time, and which is still now,
Yeah.
um, everything that could be shaken was shaken. Um, Everything that was designed to stand has stood, and we just kind of go through the motions of, sometimes we're crawling, sometimes we're walking, sometimes we're running.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends on the day and time and our situation that's going on at the moment. It's the going to court over and over, resets and bad news and semi good news and all these different type of things.
Mhm.
So it's just a big circle of things, if you will, that can be
Mhm.
very challenging at times. And your
Mhm.
brain, your mind, your spirit, your soul goes through so many different things that
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to quantify or put into words, but I'll do my best.
Mhm. Mhm. I appreciate you sharing with us how you are. And when you said some days we're running, some days we're crawling, some days we're walking, what I hear there is just being where you are,
Right,
th- whatever that feeling is, that emotion, just, this is where we are today
right.
and just going to keep going. It's almost like back to what you were saying about standing in it, like this is what we're doing.
And
And
feeling, being human, being
mhm.
human. Allow yourself to be human and not this superhero on television or things, but it's human. Some days you're okay and full of faith, and some days you're saying, Lord, help my unbelief,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just kind of depends on what's going on at the moment, and
Mhm.
kind of being okay with that moment, that situation, that day, that hour, that second, that minute,
Mm.
and being okay with it. And sometimes it comes out beautiful, sometimes it
Mhm.
comes across horrible. Like I
Mhm.
need to repent,
You've been on the altar a little bit, Courtney. I don't know.
a few times. You go from talking to being silent,
Uh-huh.
to
Uh-huh.
talking again. It just kind
Yeah.
of varies. It
Yeah.
varies.
I love that you are helping us understand what it's like, in that when you said sometimes it's the seconds, it's like that's where I am right now. It is
Right,
this second. I can't even think about the next minute because I'm working through these seconds to get through this minute to even think about the next one. So our friend, I say our friend, you know her, and many on here know her, Dr. Gina Jerkins often says, give yourself grace,
right,
to just be whatever that is. And so that's what I hear you helping us with. How do we triumph over just extreme tragedy? I saw your post saying that was like, the worst phone call to get,
oh,
ever of your life. I'm paraphrasing. Um, and in triumphant, being triumphant, it may look different from day to day, week to week, moment to
right,
moment, but you keep on.
right.
And
And I
that,
found that as I've gotten, I guess, further in, is because sometimes you go through things and you aren't willing to share. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I found that it's not just my experience is very unique, and if I could give it back, I would give it back
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
quickly,
Yeah.
very quickly. You know, but there are others that have come before me, those that come after me, that will encounter certain things, and when it comes to dealing with grief and other things, grief can be a beast, you know, and it's not fully discovered. You know, it hasn't been, the market on grief has not been cornered to
No.
say A, B, C, or D. You can have 1,000 books, but grief can go from stage 1 to stage 10 to 3 to 5 to 37. You know, and you know those type of things can startle you and kind of stifle you if you allow it to. And I've been stifled through this process, through this time, and I've walked backwards. I've fallen. I've gotten up. I've walked, ran backwards. You
Mm.
know, and
Mm.
all type of thoughts, and came back again. But I say all that to say that I'm at a place now where I understand that the story, the experience, though it were bad, um, is not just for me to take and internalize and make it a intrinsic experience. And as I build in faith and build in various things, I understand that the story is going to have to be told various times.
Mm.
Bishop Bader would tell me that often about how it's just the story needs to be told over and
Mm.
over and
Mm.
over again. That there's blessing, there's relief,
Mm.
there's peace, there's
Mhm.
grace that's
Mhm.
received as it's told more and more, and that also my faith is built
Mm.
more and more. My stamina is built more and
Mhm.
more as the story in various versions of it, because there are many, uh, as it's told, to help someone that's going to come
Mm. Mhm.
behind, or those that experienced it prior to, and as I build the strength and the stamina and the traction, if you will,
Yeah.
and then I'm able to operate in the purpose that was
Yeah.
never changed.
Yeah.
The purpose was still the same purpose from before,
Yeah.
and you know that people will include myself. I say myself first, are able to receive from being able to hear out loud,
Yeah.
and that God. I went through the stage asking God why.
Mm.
Tell you, I did thousands of times.
Mhm.
We stopped talking. Well, he didn't stop speaking, but I stopped speaking.
Oh, you tried to cut the Lord off?
At times where I say I'm solid,
Yeah.
and but that's well why? Explain this
Yeah.
to me. We talk
Yeah.
about the seed of the righteous,
Yeah.
not being forsaken, the seed not begging bread, things of that nature. I understand scripture, not the best, but I understand
Yeah.
quite a bit of it, and asking why, questioning and things of that nature. And but I never said, God, this was your fault.
Mm.
You took it from me. No, he did.
Mm.
He didn't take it from me. Every good and perfect gift come from above. So I never wavered on the fact that did he take? No, he didn't.
Mm.
The world, the Bible talks about how the enemy goes around, walks to and from throughout the
Seeking.
earth, seeking whom he may devour.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I understand that. Didn't waver on that. Didn't like the results.
Yeah.
Not wishing it was someone else's,
Right.
but wishing it just wasn't mine.
Right.
But they happened how they happened, and the fact that it happened how it happened. I still believe scripture where it talks about how he wouldn't allow me to be tempted above what I can bear. In the midst of make a way of escape, and so
Mm.
the telling of the story is a way of escape for me and my mental,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
spirit, my soul. And while as I perceive that the future will be, it'll be told multiple thousands of
Yeah.
times to where it would bring grace, bring peace, bring hope
Mhm.
and joy to others when they didn't have what I had to sustain through the time of when I
Mm.
once I didn't know if I would make it. I always knew I would make it. I just
Mhm.
didn't like what I was going through.
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
what I had to go through,
Mhm.
But nonetheless, God was always with me.
Yeah.
He always strengthened me.
You have helped us so much in sharing, telling the story, sharing it, and when you talk about, you getting something, I know that we all as well. And how do we triumph over? It's a journey. It's walking back, running back, coming forward. It's all of the things that you've talked about. And I think for me, the most powerful here as we wrap this up, just sharing it. Just the word says we overcome by the word of our testimonies. And I ain't trying to be super deep here, nothing. Yet you've said that. Like it, this is for you. You said, you're getting from this, and certainly we are. So as we encounter day-to-day things, and I'll ask you just to wrap us up with, and I've kept you longer than I said I would.
Oh, it's
You've been
fine.
real good and been
Okay.
blessing us, so we appreciate it. Tell just any final kind of thought. Anybody who might be saying, maybe I've not had the same experience you have, but it's just the beginning of the year. And I've got carryover from last year, or some things have popped up, or it's looking really grim ahead of me, whatever it might be. Anything you might encourage us with as we get ready to wrap up?
Yeah. One thing I would say very quickly and briefly is that I have different people that say different things from a business perspective, personal perspective, career, health, spiritual. I, I have personally faced my worst that I think I could possibly face. And I'm still standing. It was, I forgot the name of it. The guy, Antoine Fisher, he's like, I'm still standing. I'm
Yeah.
still standing.
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
still standing, and so to encourage people is that when you're at your worst or at your lowest, and you're still able to quantify, you're still able to qualify, you're still able to process in your mental, your spirit, and your soul that you're even going through this, then you still have some more to go.
Oh my gosh.
You still have some more to go, and
Yeah.
that you still can move forward when you're up against. Scripture talks about when the enemy comes against you like a flood, said God will lift up a standard
Yeah.
against them, and it's still you still have the ability to move forward when you're at your worst or you're at your lowest,
Mm,
and you have to find that. You have to
mhm.
find it. Even if you find that, Bob talks about the faith the size of a mustard seed. If you find just a little bit, then that's enough to plant and sow and be able to go into more. So just get enough for what you talks about your daily bread. Have enough to make it through the day. And
Mm,
today leads to tomorrow. Tomorrow
mhm,
leads to the day after, and so on and so forth down the road. It's
mm.
it's never really over until you properly fulfill purpose, till you
Yeah.
properly fulfill what your God ordained purpose is.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
problems will come. It doesn't matter if you go to church every Sunday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, or you do the complete opposite.
Yeah,
Problems are gonna come. It rains on the just as well as unjust the
it
same.
does. Yeah.
Problems are gonna come, but you still have the ability to move forward. And your moving forward may not look like the next person, but that's okay. That's why we don't look to the left or right. We take our own tests. We take our own tests and we focus in the manner in which we focus, and we do what we do when we can do it, and it all works out eventually.
Eventually. Yeah. You have blessed us. You blessed me. And if you all were blessed, something you grabbed here, let Minister Courtney know in the chat, if you will, please, because he's going to go back and check it out. And thank you,
But
Yolanda. Thank you. But I want him to be able to go back and see how you encouraged him. And there have been lots of comments tonight. So thank you. And I just want to thank you, sir. I know you have a full day and a full life. And I reached out and you were like, sure, let's do this. No hesitation. I appreciate that. And all of you, please let him know you appreciate him. Put him some love in the chat. I got something for you. So please tell Dr. Adrian I said hello. Give her a big hug. Hear your little beautiful grandbaby and your daughters. Just let them know we love them and appreciate you so, so much. You done gave us a whole bunch of words here. We're going to chop this up and share some more down the road, okay?
Fair enough. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you thinking about me.
No, you're first up on this year. I'm getting these men here, and you have been a blessing. So I'm going to let you go so you can get to bed or do whatever you need to know. Thank you again. Really appreciate you. And so good night. And thank you all for being here. It's been a pleasure. It's been a delight. Thank you for your comments. That's going to bless Minister Courtney. Let him know what you took from it. Please share this. Go back to my page after we're done and go share it. He really gave us nuggets. And my goal this year, and I'm committed to this, he talked about purpose so much, and that just kept on ringing through. He kept talking, even, with losing his son. He said, still purpose. And that's going to happen. He talked about it throughout our whole time together tonight. So how about you and your purpose? How about you and how you are, whether it's second by second, day by day, whatever it is that you may be encountering or not? There are seasons and ebbs and flows. And so he gave us so much to help us be able to be triumphant, even when we're experiencing really tough things. So let him know what blessed you. Share this. And I'm committed. I'm having ladies and guys. That's my goal. I want to pull in more gentlemen. I'm drawn to women, but this is for everybody. I want to commit to helping everybody so we can win without perfection or permission in every single area of our lives. So my goal is every 2 weeks or so to be here with a great guest and to be able to bless us and help us to be able to go forward in our lives. So thank you for being here. I'll see you next time. Remember, we're winning without perfection or permission in every single area of our lives. Good night.